It always starts in silence, not with a bang, but with a quiet ache, a slow burn deep in your chest. The kind of pain you can't explain, but feel in your bones. You wake up and wonder why everything feels heavy, why your heartbeat sounds like it's echoing in an empty cathedral. It's not life falling apart, it's you cracking under the weight of it. This is the first breath of endurance, the first moment when most people quit. But not you. You're still here, and there's a reason. Because somewhere in that quiet agony, you sense a strange beauty, raw, cold, real. It's not the kind of pain that announces itself. It doesn't kick down the door. It seeps in through the cracks of your daily routine. You start forgetting things, snapping at people you love, faking smiles like they're part of your uniform. The world looks the same, but it doesn't feel the same. Every room feels colder, every laugh feels forced. You scroll endlessly, hoping distraction will mute the storm inside. But it doesn't. You feel a heaviness in your gut, like something's dying inside you, something important. That's not weakness, that's awareness. You're starting to feel again, and that's where the war truly begins. You want to run. You want to numb it, drown it, bury it under dopamine and excuses. But something in you says, don't. Something ancient, something stubborn. You stand still in that pain and let it speak. And when it does, it doesn't. Scream, it whispers, you were made for more. That's the hardest truth to swallow when you're down, because more sounds impossible. But impossible is exactly where endurance begins. It's born in the places where no one sees you. In the silence after disappointment, in the weight of your own breath, you either crumble or carve your name into that silence. This is the point where most people start looking for the escape hatch. They call it self-care, taking a break, stepping away. But deep down, they're just running from the discomfort of becoming. You can't become who you were born to be without first shedding who you pretended to be. That hurts, that burns, but that's how diamonds are made, under pressure, not on vacation, not in comfort, but in darkness. The kind of darkness you've now stepped into. And you're not just going to survive it, you're going to own it, because the silence that once haunted you, it starts to feel like home. You begin to see the beauty in the grind, the poetry in the pain. You stop asking the world to see you and start seeing yourself. That's what most people miss. The blessing in the breakdown, the sacred transformation in the silence. And while others scroll, whine, and run, you're forging something ancient in your soul, something with teeth, something divine. So let the silence stretch. Let the ache deepen. You're not cracking anymore, you're constructing. People talk about fighting others, but the real war, it's inside. It's the voice that tells you you're worthless. The whispers at 2 a.m. that laugh when you dream big. The rage you feel when no one understands, and the emptiness that swallows you whole when you pretend you're fine. That's where endurance is born, in the furnace of doubt. You don't train for this in a gym. You earn it through every breakdown you survive. You build it with your own blood and your own silence. When the world stops clapping, will you still rise? Because the truth is, pain is the price of transformation, and only those who endure become unbreakable. It's not a battle you broadcast. No status update. No blood on your fists. Just silent screams in the mirror and questions that never get answered. You wonder if you're crazy, if anyone else feels this hollow and just keeps functioning like nothing's wrong. You carry your chaos like a secret, smiling in meetings, nodding at parties, laughing at jokes that don't land. But inside, a war rages. A war between the part of you that wants peace and the part of you that knows peace never made legends. This is the battlefield, your mind, and every thought is a bullet. Every doubt a landmine. People say, think positive. They mean well. But positivity doesn't slay demons, it just hides them. You can't affirm your way out of trauma. You have to face it. You have to walk into the abyss and introduce yourself. You have to name The voice that tells you you'll never be enough and then cut its throat with truth. That's not self-help. That's self-warfare. It's not gentle, it's not pretty, but it's real. And real is what changes you. You'll start losing people. That's part of the price. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're too intense, too focused, too much. Good. Because you're not here to make others comfortable. You're here to conquer yourself. Every habit you break is a piece of the old you crumbling. Every boundary you enforce is a battle won. You stop being addicted to validation and start being obsessed with elevation. And the higher you climb, the lonelier it gets. But that loneliness, it's proof. Proof you're not living like the rest. You're moving like the few. Eventually you stop fighting to feel better. You start fighting to become stronger. The pain doesn't go away. You just stop letting it control you. You use it. You shape it into something useful. Like steel forged in fire, you get sharper, more focused, more dangerous. And the voice that once whispered, "You can't," you don't silence it. You let it scream. Because now, every time it speaks, it reminds you just how far you've come. Every scar becomes a sentence in your victory story. And endurance, it becomes not just your armor, but your identity. Picture this. It's raining, cold, and you're sitting alone with a bottle in one hand and your head in the other. No one's calling, no one's coming. That's your moment, not when you're on stage or in the spotlight, but in that darkness, when no one's watching and you're ready to disappear. That's when the decision is made, to break or to build. The silence becomes your teacher, the cold becomes your friend. And your brokenness, it becomes your blueprint. Endurance isn't clean, it's savage. It's choosing to breathe when everything inside begs you to suffocate. You stare into the bottle, not looking for answers, just silence. The kind that drowns out the noise of the world and the war inside your head. Your phone's dead, or maybe it isn't. It just hasn't lit up in days. That's silence. That's the proof that nobody's coming to save you. And maybe that's the most freeing realization you'll ever have. Because when the cavalry doesn't show up, you either die there, or you stand up and become your own damn army. The cold rain feels like judgment, like the world reminding you of every failure, every regret. But somewhere in that downpour, something shifts. That pain you tried to numb, it becomes fuel. That silence around you, it becomes your war cry. The bottle drops, shatters, and you don't flinch, because this is no longer a moment of weakness, it's a funeral. Not yours, but the burial of the old you, the soft you, the one who waited for permission, for support, for someone else to see your worth. That version dies alone in that cold rain, and from the cracks in your chest, something stronger starts to emerge, not louder, just heavier. It doesn't need noise to make an impact. It just stands up barefoot in the broken glass of life and keeps walking forward. As you walk through the night, soaked and shivering, every step feels like betrayal to the version of you that wanted to give up. But that's what growth is, betrayal of comfort. The streetlights don't illuminate your path, they spotlight your decision. You're still hurting, still hollow, but now you're moving. And that movement, that's resurrection. You aren't fixed, but you're not finished either. And that difference, that's endurance. It's the silent vow you make with yourself to never be that broken again. Even if life keeps trying to shatter you, you return home not victorious but different. You strip off the wet clothes like a snake shedding its skin. Every scar, every bruise, every broken dream, now a badge. You don't cry, you don't scream. You sit in the dark with a pulse steady as war drums. And in that silence, you realize something profound. Rock bottom isn't a death sentence. It's sacred ground, where men are reborn. And only those who walk through that cold night alone truly understand what it means to endure. Endurance doesn't ask for permission. It drags you through fire barefoot. It punches you in the mouth and tells you to smile. It teaches you to trust pain like a partner in a deadly dance. You stop asking, why me, and start asking, what? Now, you walk with your scars exposed because they've become your armor. You learn that every setback is a setup for something darker, deeper, stronger. You realize most people never make it here. They tap out at discomfort while you're just getting warmed up. Endurance is a ruthless mentor, but it makes warriors. And warriors don't cry for comfort. They thrive in chaos. Endurance doesn't knock, it kicks the door off the hinges. It enters your life like a thief in the night, robbing you of everything you thought you needed. Your plans, your pride, your comfort. It takes them all. And when you're left naked, exposed in the chaos, it hands you a mirror. It says, look, really look. What you see isn't weakness. It's raw potential, ugly, unfinished, but real. Endurance doesn't lie to you. It forces you to see the truth. And in that brutal honesty, you finally begin to build something worth fighting for. You learn quickly that comfort is a killer. It seduces you, keeps you soft, feeds you lies like you've done enough. But endurance, it slaps the comfort out of your mouth. It throws you into the fire and says, cook or burn. You don't get to tap out. You don't get a commercial break. The world doesn't pause because you're tired. And the voice inside, you that wants to quit, that's not weakness. It's the echo of who you used to be, dying slowly. You stop running from pain and start walking toward it, knowing that on the other side is something unshakable. And here's the dark truth. Most people never meet their real selves, because to do that, you have to suffer, not once, but repeatedly. You have to bleed in silence, fail without applause, rebuild without help. That's where endurance lives, in the repetition of hardship, in the grind no one sees. You don't post it, you don't share it, you just live it. Quietly becoming lethal. Because while the world scrolls and sleeps, you're turning pain into power behind closed doors. Eventually, you stop wishing for easier paths. You stop begging for blessings that come without burden, because you realize the blessing is the burden. The weight is what makes you strong. You start waking up different, hungrier, sharper, meaner, in the best way. You don't need motivation anymore. You've been baptized in failure, forged in fire, and sculpted by suffering. You walk like a man who's been to hell and back, and smiles at the thought of going again. Because you know, deep in your bones, that endurance didn't destroy you. It revealed you. Now here's the part no one tells you. Struggle has beauty. Not the Instagram-filtered motivational post kind of beauty. The real kind. The kind forged in loneliness, failure, and grit. It's the fire in your eyes after losing everything. It's the cracked voice that still shouts, one more round. It's the dirty hands, the sleepless nights, the broken dreams you rebuild brick by brick. There's something poetic about fighting for something only you believe in. You start to see the world differently, less in colors, more in contrasts, pain and purpose, despair and destiny. Struggle becomes sacred because it reveals who you really are. There's beauty in rebellion, when you refuse to fold, when you bite down and stand up with nothing left but rage and raw will. That moment when your soul screams, I'm not done yet, even when your body begs to quit. That's where the art lives. You become a brushstroke in a masterpiece painted with scars and sweat. You stop caring about validation and start caring about the fight itself. You're no longer begging the world to see you. You're proving to yourself that you're real, that you matter, that you were forged for war. Beauty isn't in perfection, it's in perseverance. It's in staying when everything tells you to leave. People avoid pain like it's poison. But you sip it like medicine, because you've learned that suffering reveals what comfort hides. It strips you down to the bone, shows you who you really are beneath the image, beneath the mask. Struggle baptizes you in fire, And somehow that fire doesn't consume, it clarifies. You start seeing with different eyes, you hear with different ears. You move with a stillness that comes only from walking through hell and coming out breathing. This is where your soul finds its rhythm, in the chaos, not outside of it. Eventually, you stop fighting the darkness and start working with it. You learn that the dark isn't your enemy, it's your ally. It sharpens your edges, it trains your discipline, it kills off every weak version of you that couldn't carry the weight. You don't run from it anymore. You stare it down. You talk to your demons over dinner and let them remind you where you've been. You make peace with pain, not because you enjoy it, but because it's honest. It doesn't lie like comfort does. It tells you the truth. You've suffered, yes, but you've survived, and surviving is an art form. The world may never see what it took for you to stand. They won't witness the countless nights you cried without sound, or the battles you fought behind closed doors, but you know, and that knowing is your strength. Every invisible fight was a brushstroke in the masterpiece of your resilience. It's not hanging in a gallery, it lives in your eyes, in your walk, in your silence. That's the beauty in struggle. No applause, no praise, just the quiet, defiant rise of a soul that refuses to die. Remember that job you lost, that relationship that shattered you, that moment when you thought it was over. That was endurance showing its face. It wasn't failure, it was an invitation to become someone who doesn't flinch, to rise without applause. We all have scars no one sees, wounds we bandage with fake smiles. But endurance gives those wounds meaning. It tells you, you didn't suffer for nothing. You suffered to become someone who can't be broken. Rock bottom is a mirror that shows you everything you've been avoiding. It doesn't care about your excuses. It forces you to look at your own reflection, flawed, bleeding, but still breathing. It strips you of status, ego, and illusion. You see who you really are without the mask, and that truth is terrifying. But it's also powerful, because once you see your raw self and choose to rise anyway, you become dangerous. No more pretending, no more waiting for someone to rescue you. That's endurance, rebuilding from the ground up with nothing but fire in your gut. Loneliness teaches in silence. It doesn't yell, it whispers. It asks, now that no one's watching, who are you really? And your answer becomes the blueprint for your transformation. In the absence of applause, you begin to hear your own voice again. The one you buried under distractions and cheap comfort. You begin to move not out of fear, but out of necessity. You become your own source of momentum. And every lonely step you take becomes a vow to never need external permission again. That's the birth of a warrior. Scars are reminders that you made it through. They aren't ugly, they're sacred etchings of survival. They carry stories of pain you refuse to let define you. And when you walk into a room with scars, you carry authority. Not because you avoided the fire, but because you lived in it. People sense something in you, an edge, a gravity, a silence that commands respect. That's endurance made visible. The world may not understand it, but they feel it. They feel that you've suffered and you've come out sharper. These aren't just wounds. They're proof that you're built different. Surviving changes your eyes. You start seeing through masks, through the surface. You spot pain in others before they say a word. And that makes you powerful. Not just physically, but spiritually. You're no longer fooled by comfort because you've seen what's behind the curtain. You don't waste time chasing approval anymore. You've built your throne out of ruins. And now you sit on it. Not proud, but aware. Aware that endurance didn't just keep you alive. It remade you into someone who doesn't bow, into someone who leads, into someone who cannot be broken. There's a warrior in you, and he's not polite, he's not smiling, he's hungry. He's forged from every time you were laughed at, doubted, betrayed. He doesn't care about validation, he cares about conquest. He wakes up when the world sleeps. He trains in silence. He moves in shadows. And every breath you take when you're about to break, that's him, dragging you forward when your legs scream no. Endurance doesn't create cowards. It creates killers of weakness, of fear, of mediocrity. That warrior inside you isn't made of sunshine and positive affirmations. He's sculpted you from survival. He was born the day you didn't quit when everyone told you to, when life spat in your face and you wiped it off with a grin. He was forged in the fire of rejection, of being overlooked, underestimated, forgotten. Every insult became a weapon, every failure, a scar carved into his chest like armor. He doesn't need applause. He doesn't care if the world understands him, because he understands one thing. Pain means progress. His hunger isn't for food. It's for war, for growth, for domination of the self. You might call it madness. He calls it discipline. He doesn't need the sun to see. He navigates the pitch-black corridors of your life with instinct sharpened by suffering. While others rest, he studies. While others run, he digs in. He whispers in your ear when your knees shake. Get up. We're not done. He doesn't deal in comfort. He deals in conquest. He sees the world as it is, brutal, cold, indifferent. And yet, he smiles at that because he knows how to bend it to his will. He's not interested in fitting in. He's interested in bending reality to his vision. And when the world ignores you, mocks you, doubts you, he gets stronger. You don't train this warrior with motivation videos. You train him with suffering, with discipline when no one's watching, with choosing to keep going when it doesn't make sense anymore. He doesn't get excited by the idea of success. He gets obsessed with the process. You'll hear him in the silence just before you quit. That deep growl from the belly of your soul saying, keep going, bleed if you must. He's not flashy. He's not loud, but he's lethal. He's the reason you show up broken and leave rebuilt, the reason you scream into the void and get answers in echoes. He is the weapon you become when you stop waiting to be saved. This world doesn't need more nice guys. It needs savage saints, spiritual killers of mediocrity, men who fight with grit in their lungs and fire in their eyes, men who are polite only when necessary and dangerous when needed. That's who this warrior is. He doesn't ask for a crown. He carves it from the bones of his battles. He's the version of you that rises after everyone else stays down. You don't tap into him by accident. You summon him. In your lowest, darkest, filthiest hour, he shows up, not to pity you, but to pull you through it. He doesn't carry weakness. He buries it, because to endure, you must become more than human. You must become legend. But endurance isn't just physical, it's spiritual, it's soul-level evolution. It's the quiet prayer said through gritted teeth, the unseen war between who you were and who you must become. You start to feel something divine in the fight itself. Like God isn't saving you from the fire, He's walking with you through it. Your spirit grows teeth, your faith becomes savage, and your past, it becomes sacred fuel. This isn't about religion, it's about resurrection. Every time you rise again, you prove you're already chosen. Endurance at its core is spiritual. Warfare, it's not just your muscles tearing, it's your soul being stripped of ego, pride, and illusions. It's the raw exposure of your inner self when all your masks are gone. You meet yourself in the dirt, no filters, no titles, just your will against everything trying to break you. And in that battlefield, something sacred stirs. Not a gentle spirit, but a roaring one. A divine force that doesn't whisper sweet nothings, it bellows, fight. And you realize that this struggle is holy ground, that every ounce of pain is part of your sanctification. There comes a moment in the fire where the physical world fades. Your body is still fighting, but something else takes the wheel. That's your soul, finally awakened. It no longer begs to be rescued. It walks barefoot across glass and still chooses gratitude. You stop seeing life as happening to you and start realizing it's happening for you. Every heartbreak was a hammer, every betrayal a chisel. God didn't abandon you, He's been reshaping you, not with comfort, but with crucibles. And now, your faith doesn't fold under pressure. It thrives there. You're not just enduring anymore, you're ascending. You begin to notice how the old version of you would have broken by now, how you used to cry out for miracles, and now you become one. The fight refines you. The fire teaches you to pray without words, to worship in pain, to praise through grit. Your beliefs stop being theoretical. They become lived truth. You feel divine presence not in peaceful moments, but in the chaos, in the wreckage, in the smoke. That's where your spirit grows claws, and you understand this isn't about being good. It's about being ready, ready to stand, ready to fight, ready to become untouchable in your purpose. Resurrection doesn't come gently. It comes through death of your comfort zone, your ego, your excuses. You bury who you were to birth who you must be. And every step forward now feels like prophecy unfolding. You walk taller, not because life got easier, but because your soul got harder. You've become a weapon of light forged in the darkest places. You are a message wrapped in muscle and mystery, a walking testament to what faith, fire, and endurance can create. So let them doubt you, let them laugh, because every scar on your body is a scripture, and every time you rise, heaven writes your name again. So, if you're hurting right now, good. That means the transformation has started. You're in the forge, and it's melting the weakness off you. You are not broken, you're becoming. Every tear, every failure, every silent scream, it's building you into a weapon, a living testament of what endurance can create. The art of endurance isn't pretty, but it's powerful. It's not for everyone. But if you've made it this far, you're not everyone. You're becoming something rare, something dangerous, something unshakable. You've been lied to your whole life, told to seek comfort, told to play nice, told to be normal, but now you're waking up. You're realizing you were never meant to fit in. You were built to break molds, to tear through illusions. This pain you feel, it's not a punishment. It's a compass pointing you toward your real self. The beast beneath the smile, the fire beneath the quiet. Every moment you've been overlooked, underestimated, betrayed, it wasn't to crush you, it was to sharpen your fangs. You weren't made to be liked, you were made to be legendary. And only through suffering can you finally meet the monster you were born to master. You've got two choices now: numb the pain or weaponize it. Use it as fuel, forge, fire. Let every scar remind you that you lived through what should have killed you. Let every ache whisper, we're still here. Pain is pure. It doesn't lie. It doesn't care. It just is. But pain in the hands of a disciplined soul, that's art. That's fuel for greatness. Most people medicate it, run from it, bury it. But you stare into it. You drink it like black coffee at dawn. You let it burn your throat and fuel your purpose, because you know pain doesn't break warriors, it baptizes them. Let the old you die, the soft version, the passive version, the version that needed permission. Let him rot in the past. Every step forward is a funeral march for who you used to be. Let people miss him. Let them mourn the weak, agreeable, apologetic version they were comfortable with. You're not here to be digestible. You're here to be undeniable. A walking contradiction, sharp and grounded, brutal and spiritual. You're no longer reacting to life. You're rewriting it. The death of the old you is the rebirth of something ancient, something primal, something that's been buried in your bloodline for generations, waiting for this very moment to rise. What you're doing right. Now, it matters. Even if no one claps, even if no one sees it, every choice you make in the dark echoes through generations. This isn't just about you, it's about those who come after. Your endurance becomes their inheritance. Your discipline becomes their armor. Your story becomes their scripture. Legacy isn't built in applause. It's built in silence, in Storms in seasons where quitting feels like the only sane option, but you didn't quit, and that will echo. Your pain will become prophecy, and someone you'll never meet will thank you for surviving what should have ended you.